If you ever looked at some people and just wondered, how do they build wealth? Like, almost effortlessly. It feels like a hidden code, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really can seem that way sometimes.
But it's not magic. It really comes down to mastering some fundamental principles and often some surprising strategies, too. So today, that's what we're doing, a deep dive into exactly that, the core ideas, the surprising tactics behind real wealth creation.
Sounds good.
We've pulled together a pretty powerful stack of sources for you, insights from experienced wealth creators, financial experts, even a really lively online discussion. It gives this great mix of perspectives.
A real tapestry, yeah.
And our mission here is simple: distill the best, most actionable, most interesting nuggets from all this, just for you, to help you see that roadmap to financial security, to real growth, a bit more clearly.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's unpack this. At its absolute core, wealth creation seems to boil down to owning equity. That's, owning a piece of a business, maybe a product, intellectual property like a book or something. It's the only way to really make money while you sleep, which feels key.
And that's exactly it. It's so powerful because, look, when you're just selling your labor, your time, you're often getting paid less than the actual value you create.
Right.
Ownership flips that. It shifts you to the other side of the equation. You're capturing the growth, the value of the system itself.
You become the owner, not just the worker bee. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Capturing growth. So once you have something to own, how do you make it grow faster? Exponentially, even.
Well, that's where compound interest comes roaring in.
Ah, that classic money making money.
And then making money on that money. It's that snowball effect. Investing in the stock market over the long haul is maybe the clearest example, right?
Definitely. The power is in the time, isn't it?
Decades.
Exactly. Decades. And even small, consistent bits added over time can just explode.
Yes.
It's fascinating, though. This compounding thing isn't just for money.
Oh, how so? It applies to knowledge, skills, what some call slow, incremental, constant progress.
Like Charlie Munger's advice. Go to bed a bit wiser each day.
Precisely. Those tiny, consistent improvements in what you can do, they compound over a lifetime. That can build immense personal wealth, maybe even more valuable than just the financial side.
Interesting. So beyond capital, leverage is another big piece of the puzzle, multiplying your efforts.
Using more than just your own two hands.
Yeah, traditionally that meant labor, like employees, or capital, like loans. But what's really interesting now are these permissionless forms.
Ah, yes. Media and code.
Exactly. Things you can start using right away to scale your ideas, your wealth, without asking anyone for permission first.
And that's revolutionary, isn't it? I mean, think about it. You don't need a huge loan or a board's approval to start a blog or put a video on YouTube or write some code.
You just do it.
You just do it and potentially reach millions. It lets one person's effort scale massively, generating value constantly.
That's a total game changer, especially for individuals. But, okay, even with leverage, getting those really big breakthroughs, that seems to require a different way of thinking about success itself. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely, because success, real success, it isn't linear. It's not just input equals output.
Right. You can work incredibly hard.
Immense work, yeah. For long stretches, maybe see nothing, no progress, feels like. And then, bam, suddenly a huge win.
And people quit on those plateaus.
They do. So many quit right there because they don't get that erratic nature. They don't realize they might be just about to hit that big, disproportionate result.
So, thinking about building wealth day to day, what does this mean for habits? The absolute foundation, maybe the least glamorous part, is just living below your means.
Can't build if you spend it all.
Exactly. We've all heard it, right? But honestly, it's the bedrock.
Yeesh.
It means really knowing where your money's going. That's sometimes uncomfortable exercise.
Tracking it.
And then making that conscious choice.
Yeah.
Spend less than you earn. Build that breathing room.
And, that discipline, it connects to something else our sources mention, the good kind of selfishness.
Okay, that sounds potentially problematic.
Aha! Yeah, the name is provocative. But it's not about greed. It's about prioritizing yourself in a healthy way. Your physical health, your mental health, finding work that actually means something to you, staying fit.
The empty cup idea. You can't pour from one.
Exactly that. Taking care of yourself first ultimately makes you more effective, more resilient, which benefits everyone around you in the long run. It's sustainable.
That's a helpful reframing. Okay, so you're living below your means, taking care of yourself. But ideas are cheap, right?
Hmm.
What about actually doing something?
Ah, yes. The sources are very clear on this. Execution beats obsession every single time.
You get paid to do, not just to think.
Right. How you end up doing something is way more important than the initial what. Look at Henry Ford, Bill Gates. Execution masters.
It sounds simple, but it's where so many get stuck. What do you think is the biggest trap there with execution?
That's a great question. I think often it's maybe a fear of not being perfect, or maybe not understanding that effort doesn't always equal immediate results, like we just talked about.
Yeah, getting stuck polishing the idea forever.
Right, instead of launching. Which actually, that leads nicely into another key idea, finding asymmetric opportunities.
Okay, explain that. Asymmetric.
Think of it like this. Situations where your potential downside, your risk, is capped, it's limited. But your potential upside, your reward, it's huge, maybe even unlimited.
Like buying a stock. The most you can lose is what you invested, right?
Exactly. That's the class example. Your loss is capped at your investment, but the potential gain, theoretically infinite.
Are there other examples outside of just stocks?
Oh, absolutely. Think about, say, writing an ebook. Your main investment is your time, which is finite.
Right.
But if that book takes off, becomes a bestseller, the upside is massive. Same for starting a blog, creating an online course, even some kinds of entrepreneurship. Cap downside, huge potential upside.
And these kinds of opportunities, they seem to link up with what some call positive black swans.
Yeah, those unpredictable, rare events, but with positive consequences.
Like your self-published book suddenly hitting the New York Times list. You couldn't predict it.
Right. Zero prediction. But the uncertainty in that whole publishing game, in that specific case, it only works for you. It's all upside from the unexpected.
So this raises a big question. How do you actually position yourself for these unpredictable, massive wins? Strategically, I mean.
Well, Nassim Nicholas Taleb's barbell strategy is a really interesting framework for this.
The barbell, like weights.
Kind of, yeah. The idea is you put, say, 90% of your assets in extreme safety, like cash, maybe ultra-safe government bonds, stuff that won't blow up.
Okay, super conservative on one side.
Exactly. And then the other 10%, you put that into highly speculative things with that massive asymmetric upside we talked about, startups, maybe crypto, things that could go to zero but could also go 100x.
So you're protected from ruin by the safe 90%, but exposed to huge potential gains with the risky 10%.
Precisely. It avoids those hidden risks in the moderate middle ground investments that can quietly erode your wealth while maximizing exposure to positive surprises.
Interesting. Protect the downside, maximize the potential upside, and it feels like a lot of whether that upside actually hits comes down to plain old timing.
Oh, massively.
Scott Adams, the Dilbert guy, he apparently advises that since timing is almost impossible to get right intentionally.
Unless you're psychic, yeah.
Right. So it makes more sense to just keep trying different things. Eventually, you might just get lucky with the timing on one of them.
Yeah.
So the message is, keep going.
Yeah, don't give up. And that really speaks to embracing a process over specific goals.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Well, seeking out those asymmetric opportunities, putting yourself in environments where positive black swans can happen, that's a process. You don't know which blog post will go viral or which investment will take off.
You just keep throwing darts to the board.
Exactly. You engage in the process of creating, experimenting, investing smartly. By doing that consistently, you dramatically increase your chances of eventually hitting that bullseye. It's about the system, not the single outcome.
Right. Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about putting money to work more directly. Let's start with passive income.
Ah, the dream, right? Money while you sleep.
It is the dream. But a lot of people misunderstand it, don't they? They think it's like getting something for absolutely nothing.
Yeah, that's a common misconception. True passive income, the kind that lasts, it usually involves a lot of work up front.
It's not just getting a second job or holding some asset that doesn't actually pay you anything.
Exactly. But what's really compelling, especially now, are the low capital, high effort passive income routes, particularly for creative folks.
Like what?
Well, think about writing an ebook. Huge effort to write it, right?
Okay.
But once it's done, listed on Amazon, it can sell for years with minimal extra work.
Okay. Set it and forget it.
Yeah.
Almost.
Sort of. Or selling photography online.
Yeah.
Stock photo agencies. One great shot could generate royalties again and again. Then there's creating an app, maybe starting a blog or a YouTube channel around something you're passionate about.
That takes time, though, building an audience.
Absolutely. Or even selling designs online through sites like Cafe Press or Redbubble. The main risk for all of these is your upfront time investment, with no guarantee of reward.
True.
But the potential upside, if something catches on, the scalability is just enormous.
Okay, so that's the creative, maybe lower capital side. What about for people who already have some capital to invest? More traditional passive income.
Right. For them, you've got things like dividend stocks, companies paying you a share of their profits.
Nice. Regular checks, hopefully.
Hopefully. Or bond ladders, where you stagger the maturity dates of bonds to get consistent interest payments. Then there are safer options like high-yield CDs or savings accounts.
Lower return, but safer.
Exactly. Annuities can provide reliable income later on, though they can be complex. Even things like peer-to-peer lending exist.
That sounds risky, though.
It definitely requires careful research, vetting borrowers, and diversification. You can't just lend to one person. And there are things like municipal bond funds for tax-free income, or preferred stock, which often pays higher dividends than common stock.
So lots of options, but they all seem to carry different kinds of risks.
Absolutely. And that's where diversification is just non-negotiable. You don't want all your eggs in one basket, whether it's stocks potentially falling or a company defaulting on its bonds.
So how do you achieve that easily?
Well, for many people, things like exchange-traded funds or ETFs are a great tool.
Like buying a whole basket of stocks at once.
Exactly. They give you instant diversification across maybe hundreds or thousands of stocks or bonds or different sectors, different countries, all in one investment, usually with lower costs, too. It spreads your risk efficiently.
Okay, that makes sense for managing risk in financial markets. Let's talk about another big one. Real estate. It's like the cornerstone for so many wealthy people.
It really is, and for good reasons. First off, consistent cash flow from rent, ideally.
Money coming in every month.
Right. Then there's appreciation. Property values tend to go up over the long term, influenced by location, supply and demand, the economy.
And taxes. I hear there are benefits there, too.
Oh, yeah. Significant tax benefits, deducting mortgage interest, property taxes. And when you sell your primary home, a large chunk of the capital gains is often excluded from taxes. That's huge.
So cash flow, appreciation, tax breaks.
Right.
What else makes it attractive in a portfolio?
Well, it's great for diversification. Real estate often moves differently than the stock market. So if stocks are down, your property value might be holding steady or even rising. It smooths out the ride.
Okay, so it balances things out.
And it's a fantastic hedge against inflation. Historically, property values and rents tend to rise along with the general cost of living.
So it keeps pace.
Better than keeps pace sometimes. And if you have a fixed-rate mortgage, inflation actually helps you by eroding the real value of your debt over time. Your payment stays the same, but the value of those dollars goes down.
Huh, that's a neat trick. What else is unique about owning property versus, say, stocks?
I think a big one is the increased control you have. You can directly influence the property's value through renovations, improvements.
Right, you can't really renovate Apple stock.
Exactly. You decide how it's managed, do it yourself, or hire a property manager for a more passive approach. And crucially, as you pay down that mortgage month after month, year after year, you're building equity.
Your ownership stake grows.
Right. And that equity isn't just sitting there. It's an asset you can then borrow against, maybe use a 8ELOC or cash out refinance to buy more properties. It creates this powerful wealth building cycle.
Okay, given all these benefits, cash flow, appreciation, taxes, diversification, inflation hedge control, equity building seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Why don't more people invest in real estate then?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Well, there are definitely barriers. The biggest one is usually the high upfront costs, down payments, closing costs. It takes a significant chunk of change.
Yeah, that stops a lot of people right there.
Then there's often a perceived lack of experience or knowledge. Real estate markets, financing, tenant laws, it can feel complex and overwhelming.
Intimidating.
Very. It also requires a significant time commitment, especially if you self-manage. Researching deals, dealing with tenants, maintenance, it's not truly passive initially. And finally, there are complex regulations, zoning, permits, landlord-tenant laws vary everywhere.
So hurdles exist, but are they insurmountable?
Not at all. Our sources emphasize that these can be overcome through education books, courses, mentors. By starting small, maybe with real estate investment trusts, REITs, which are like mutual funds for real estate, or through real estate crowdfunding platforms.
You don't have to buy a whole building yourself right away.
Exactly. You can get exposure with less capital and less direct responsibility. And of course, hiring professionals, agents, lawyers, property managers can bridge the knowledge and time gaps.
Okay, good to know there are ways around the barriers. Let's switch to entrepreneurship now. Starting a business is one path, but there's also a strong case for buying an existing business and then building it.
Yeah, that's an interesting angle. You skip that initial 0 to 1 struggle.
Right. You get revenue from day one. And you can often use loans, like an SBA loan the government helps back, to actually acquire a business you already have the skills to improve. It's like getting a head start.
A significant head start. And speaking of the entrepreneurial mindset, there's this fascinating insight from some owners. There's truly no relationship between time, money, and effort when you own the business.
How does that work? It sounds counterintuitive.
It's about shifting to value-based pricing. You stop charging for your hours and start charging for the impact or the value you create for your customer.
So focus on the result, not the process time.
Exactly. It forces you to really understand your worth, the unique value you bring. That's a fundamental shift from the employee mindset of trading time for money.
That is a powerful shift. And to make yourself or your business really valuable and hard to copy, there's this idea of skill stacking.
Ah, yes. Not being the absolute best at one thing.
Right, which is almost impossible anyway. But instead, become very good, say, top 25% at 2, maybe 3 different things.
And the combination is unique.
Exactly. The source used the example of someone who's a pretty good artist and also has a pretty good sense of humor. Combine those, and you get a great comic strip creator. That unique blend is your moat.
It protects you from competition because almost no one else has that exact same stack of skills. And that ties directly into the concept of specific knowledge.
Okay, specific knowledge. What makes it specific?
It's the kind of knowledge that can't really be taught in a classroom or read in a book. It has to be learned through experience, through genuine curiosity, often by pushing the boundaries in a field you're passionate about.
So it's earned, not just learned.
Precisely. Think about the deep, intuitive understanding a master craftsperson has, or a seasoned negotiator's feel for a room. It's built over years of practice, trial and error, pursuing your innate talents. It becomes your most valuable, truly defensible asset because it's unique to you.
Got it. That makes sense. Okay, pulling this all together, building wealth is clearly a long game, a marathon, not a sprint. It takes discipline, and it needs a plan.
Absolutely.
So a good starting point is setting clear, smart goals. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Right. Goals for retirement, buying a house, whatever it is, makes it concrete.
Gives you something to aim for.
And critically, underpinning all of this, you absolutely have to save money. You can't invest what you spend, right?
Back to basics.
Yep. Track your spending. Maybe use a simple framework like the 50-30-20 rule. 50% needs, 30% wants, 20% savings and debt payoff. Find ways to cut unnecessary expenses. And crucially, before you dive deep into investing,
Build that cushion.
build that emergency fund. 3 to 6 months worth of essential living expenses tucked away in a safe, accessible place. That protects your investments from life's curveballs.
So you don't have to sell stocks low just because your car broke down.
Yeah.
Okay, those foundations are vital. Then, as you start accumulating assets, you need to protect them, right?
Absolutely crucial. Protect your assets. This means having the right insurance.
Homeowners or renters insurance.
Auto insurance, definitely life insurance, especially if people depend on you, and disability insurance. That last one is often overlooked, but your ability to earn income is usually your biggest asset.
Good point. And getting life and disability insurance when you're younger and healthier is usually cheaper too, right?
Much cheaper, typically.
Right.
Locks in lower premiums for the long term. It's safeguarding everything you're building.
Okay, protection is key. What about the silent wealth killer? Taxes. How do you manage their impact?
Yeah, you have to be proactive about minimizing taxes legally. The biggest levers are tax-advantaged accounts.
Like 401ks at work or IRAs?
Exactly. And 529 plans for education savings. These let your money grow tax-deferred or even tax-free, which is a massive boost over time. Also, understand how investment income is taxed. Long-term capital gains profits from selling assets held over a year are usually taxed at lower rates than your ordinary income.
So holding investments longer helps.
It often does, tax-wise. And even if you have passive income streams or side hustles, look into setting up self-employed retirement accounts, like a solo 401k or a SEP IRA. They allow for large contributions that can significantly reduce your current tax bill.
Good tips. Finally, what about the other side of the balance sheet? Debt and credit.
Hugely important. You need to actively manage your debt and build strong credit. This means paying all your bills on time, every time. That's the biggest factor in your credit score.
And keeping balances low.
Right. Keep your credit utilization low. That's the amount of credit you're using compared to your limits. Ideally below 30%, even lower is better. And check your credit report regularly for errors. Dispute anything that's wrong.
And what about existing debt? Should you pay it off before investing?
Generally, yes, especially high-interest debt. Think credit cards, payday loans.
Yeah.
The interest rates on those are often brutal, like 15%, 20%, even higher.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to find an investment that reliably earns you that kind of return. So paying off that high-interest debt is often the best investment you can make. It's a guaranteed return equal to the interest rate you're no longer paying.
That makes perfect sense. So bringing all these threads together, there seems to be a bit of a strategic debate in some of the discussions we looked at.
Oh, Awe.
About focus. Should you hyper-focus on just one main thing, one business, one cash flow activity to really get rich first? And then maybe diversify and bring in an advisor, team, lawyer, accountant, wealth manager.
You're going for multiple streams right away.
Exactly. Versus trying to build multiple income streams from the start. What's the thinking there?
Well, the argument for hyperfocus is that it concentrates your energy and resources to achieve escape velocity faster. Get significant capital first. The argument for multiple streams is diversification of income risk. If one stream dries up, you have others.
Like the expert quote, you'll catch more fish with multiple lines in the water.
Right. But the key, it seems, is balance. You need to ensure that starting new ventures doesn't starve your existing successful ones of the attention they need. It's about strategically diversifying your efforts, not just your capital, without spreading yourself too thin.
A delicate balancing act, then.
Definitely.
Okay, so after this really comprehensive deep dive into wealth creation, where do you, the listener, go from here? Maybe take a moment and think. Which of these ideas or strategies felt the most unfamiliar? Or maybe even counterintuitive?
What really challenged your current thinking?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because that might just be your biggest aha moment waiting to be explored. It could be the next turn on your own personal roadmap towards financial security and real sustainable growth.